GZM Shows and the creators of 6 Minutes are rolling out their newest audio adventure with the podcast Discovering Dad. A cautious single dad with a secret past and his rebellious kids embark on a thrilling quest complete with hidden treasure, villains, and a family curse. New episodes of Discovering Dad roll out weekly starting June 11th on Apple Podcasts. Follow the show so you never miss an episode, or listen early and ad-free as a GZM Shows subscriber. Go to gzmshows.com to learn more.
Hi, I'm Alexis Ohanian. You may know me as one of the co-founders of Reddit, but more recently, a large part of my identity is being a father to my wonderful daughters. In my podcast, Business Dad, I hope to open the conversation about working parents a bit. You'll get to hear from a wide range of business dads, from Rainn Wilson and Guy Raz to Todd Carmichael and Shane Battier, to find out how they balance being a dad with a successful career. Business Dad is available now, so be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
What's going on, everybody? It's Mercedes Terrell from Bellator MMA.
Hey, this is Billy Howardell from A Perfect Circle.
Hey, I'm Adam Carolla.
Hey, this is Max from the Arkells.
Hi, this is Tina Stoll. I'm a driver in the NHRA.
Hey, this is Dallas Smith.
Hi, I'm Commander Chris Hadfield.
I'm Danny Danko. I'm the Senior Cultivation Editor for High Times Magazine.
Hey, guys, guess what? I'm Jake the Snake Roberts, and you're not. Yeah, bad break for you. You're listening to the Toddcast podcast, like you didn't know.
The Toddcast podcast is powered by The Pint, Vancouver's favorite sports bar at 455 Abbott Street and online at vancouver.thepint.ca.
Now, here's your host, Todd Hancock.
If you had to pick one career highlight, could you do it? Or is it just way too hard to nail it down to one thing? Personally, after working in terrestrial radio for almost 20 years, almost 15 of those at CFOX in Vancouver, at one point arguably the best rock station in the country, winning awards and crushing in the ratings, a damn near bulletproof on-air lineup, there's a lot of things personally for me that come to mind. Doing world album premieres with Metallica, Nickelback, Velvet Revolver, hanging out all day with Slash, Lars, Chad Kroeger, doing my radio show from Dublin at the Jameson Whiskey Distillery, flying first class there and back, first class accommodations. That was incredible, something I'll never forget. Broadcasting from the Irish House for the duration of the 2010 Winter Olympics. These are memories I will have for the rest of my life, and we all have them. And that is what this week is all about. You'll hear from 12 guests as they share their stories, their career highlights. Musician, songwriter, record producer, badass, Devin Townsend stopped by the podcast studio. I think we did about a 70-minute podcast together, but we hung out for a couple hours, maybe even more. Really good dude. You'll know him, of course, from Strapping Young Lad, and then into his solo career where he started, you'll hear hard rock and new age. There's ambient, full symphony orchestras. He's incredibly talented, a smart guy, a humble guy. Check out what he said about career highlights.
If it ended now, okay, here's a career highlight. If it ended now, I still have buddies that would help me move. You know what I mean?
There you go.
It's true.
That's
I got friends that have got my back, man, through all this shit.
Right.
And it's like 30-year relationships, man. And it's like, I think if there's a litmus test for the fact that, yeah, I was an asshole back then and I messed this up and I got super high for a while and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, that's living.
Right?
That's living.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's people in my world now that are that still care enough about me to like tell me the truth is awesome.
Melissa Etheridge has been around since 1988. Her debut album went to number 22 on the Billboard 200. Her single, Bring Me Some Water, was nominated for a Grammy Award for the Best Rock Vocal Performance. She didn't win, but she did win in 1993 for her song Ain't It Heavy. She won another Grammy Award for Come to My Window. She sold well over 6 million copies worldwide. It's an impressive career, to say the least.
I have had so many. It's tough to say. I would have to say singing with Bruce Springsteen, definitely one. The Grammys of 2005, when I was able to step back on stage after, while being in treatment for cancer, that's probably the one that has had the most, that still has reverberations. People still come up and talk to me about that, and that's been 12 years ago.
When you talk about influential rap bands, Run DMC has got to be near the top of the list. The first group in the genre to have a gold album, the first to be nominated for a Grammy Award, the first to earn a platinum record, the first to earn a multi-platinum certification, the first to have videos on MTV, the first to appear on American Bandstand and the cover of Rolling Stone, the only hip-hop act to perform at Live Aid in 1985, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2009. From all of that, listen to what DMC says about career highlights.
Meeting Sarah McLachlan, because her music saved my life. I was an alcoholic, metaphysical, spiritual, suicidal wreck who was about to kill himself. And this was 1993. I heard Sarah McLachlan's record, Angel. And when I heard that record, Angel, that was the only thing that would kept me from jumping off roofs. For one whole year, all I did was listen to Sarah McLachlan records. I got the pleasure of meeting her by going to a party that I didn't want to go to because my manager was like, let's keep Darryl busy. As long as we keep him busy, he won't kill himself. So my manager took me to Clive Davis Grammy party, and I got to meet Sarah McLachlan. And then 3 years after that meeting, I got to record a song with her. And just her music, her as a person, you know, I told her, the name of the record is Angel. You sound like an angel. People say you're an angel to me. You're an angel, but you're not an angel to me. You're God. Your music saved my life. And she looked at me and she said, thank you for telling me that, Darryl, because that's what music is supposed to do. And since that meeting, that is one of the first... that is one of the most prolific statements that is ingrained in me as an artist. That's what music is supposed to do. It's not about being rich and famous. It's about not being money. It's about touching and saving people's lives.
And simply put, Steel Panther write catchy songs. They're fun. Pre-COVID, they toured the world, girls getting up on stage and ripping off their shirts, people partying backstage, playing sometimes to 50,000 people at festivals. Their live show is one of the best all time. Here's what Steel Panther singer Michael Starr says about career highlights.
Each step of the way is a highlight. So like even when we were a cover band back in early 2000s, we were selling out the Viper Room. So at that moment, that was like the best ever. You know, we're on the Sunset Strip selling out the Viper Room. And then we go to the Roxy and start selling that out. And that, to me, in my career, was a huge success story for us. And then we went to even a bigger club called the Key Club. Double the capacity. Sold that out every Monday. Another milestone. Then the House of Blues. Played there until it closed down. We actually played there. We played more shows at the Hollywood Sunset House of Blues than any other band ever had played there.
Wow.
So that's a big milestone. And then to go play Download Festival in Donington in the UK to 75,000 people, 2 bands before Aerosmith on the main stage.
Wow.
Pretty big deal. Then to go play Wacken this year, we're going to play in Germany. It's a festival that holds 100,000 people. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I wish my penis would do that.
Musical guests of the Toddcast podcast are powered by Pineapple Sound, providing recording and mixing services for a wide range of artists and genres since 2013. Check them out at pineapplesound.com.
she whistled for a cab. We never said a word, but we got to know each other well. And when the night was over, well, she had me in a spell. She got me up in the morning, cranking the tunes. She said, thanks for the party, but baby, I got better things to do. Baby, I got better things to do. Baby, I got better things. Better things to do. 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 You got better things. Better things to do. You got better things. Better things to do. Better things to do. You got better things. Better things to do. You got better things. Better things to do.
Absolutely love that band. Bend Sinister. B-E-N-D, Bend Sinister, and Better Things to Do. You know, prior to the pandemic, we had an acoustic night planned with their singer, Dan Moxon. Of course, that got canceled. But now with things, you know, kind of being back to quote-unquote normal, we're doing those acoustic Q&A shows at the Blue Light Studio in East Vancouver. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Perhaps you'll see Dan do something with us. That's called foreshadowing. All right, stop me if you've heard this before. It's coming up 10 minutes from now. This week, UFC Octagon announcer Bruce Buffer talking about the evolution of the organization, of the sport. That is powered by our friends at FKP MMA, Vancouver's #1 training destination, fkpmma.com. My little guy, my youngest, Levi, has been going there for about a year now, I guess. He's able to go, I think it's 3 times a week. He decides to go just a couple. There's other things on the plate besides arm bars and spinning back fists and, you know, all that stuff. Great stuff. It's awesome. He loves the self-defense, the self-esteem. If you're thinking of MMA, FKP is the place to be. And of course, if you're going to, hey, that rhymed. And of course, if you're going to watch some fights, our title sponsor, The Pint, your favorite Vancouver sports bar, has all the UFC fights on their big screen TVs throughout the entire place. Always down to watch the fights. Can't wait to get group meetups together as well and watch some Canucks games. Canucks are coming. 455 Abbott Street, Gastown, Vancouver. Well, let's be honest, it's a staple of the night when we're out partying downtown. as we go back to more career highlight stories and a handful of our past sporting guests. NHRA national event winner Alexis DeJoria broke onto the scene in 2005. In the super gas category, it only took her 8 months, under a year, for her to get her first win. Then she moved on to race top alcohol funny car. She was the second woman to race under 4 seconds with a 3.997 second quarter mile in Pomona, California.
Oh gosh, my career highlight was winning the U.S. Nationals at Indianapolis, the 60th anniversary. It just doesn't get any better than that. And being able to do it in the most amazing fashion against John Force, the most winningest funny car driver in the history of NHRA, beating him in the finals, like waxing him on the tree. I mean, and I love John. This isn't a diss at all, but to do that against the greatest funny car driver to ever live, I mean, in the finals, to beat him in the finals, to win that race is, I mean, there's nothing better. And to be able to give that, you know, Wally to Connie Coletta, who I had the pleasure and, you know, to race for him was just incredible in itself. I mean, he's a legend. He's amazing, and he was the last one to win an Indy race, you know, on that team. So to be able to give him another Indy win was just really incredible.
Like that has got to taste good.
Yeah. And my whole family, their family was there too. My dad was there.
Awesome.
And this is the funniest thing. So I had won races before that, obviously, but he had never been there for a win. And that was his first win.
Amazing.
Like being with me, that was his first win, was the U.S. Nationals, and my husband was there, my kids were there. It was incredible.
You'll know MMA fighter Benson Henderson from his time with the UFC and currently fighting with Bellator MMA. He's a former UFC lightweight champion, a former WEC lightweight champion. He has big wins over Nate Diaz, Cowboy Donald Cerrone, Frankie Edgar, Jorge Masvidal. Check out what Benson said about career highlights.
You can take your pick. For me personally, I don't really have one. Like, I've had a lot of good experiences and a lot of amazing experiences, but I like to, normally I take that question back to who's ever asking. I ask them what their favorite career thing of mine was, and I say I go with that one.
Right, right, because there's so many, is what you're saying.
For me, I had so many, and they're all really cool. Like, I appreciate each one for what it's worth, but like, I don't know, like, they're cool. I like them all, but normally I ask the person like which one their favorite is, which one of mine is their favorite, and I go with that one.
Sticking with MMA, you know UFC ring card girl Ariane Celeste for more reasons than fighting. She's been on so many magazine covers: Maxim, FHM, Sports Illustrated, Playboy. Her Playboy issue was the top-selling issue that year. She was a co-host of Overhaulin' back in 2014 and 2015. Over 4 million people follow her on social media. A crazy career.
My career highlight. I honestly think it's just like traveling the world, because I know I came from a very, you know, not rich family. We're all like working class family, and for me to be out of this country and see so many beautiful places and meet so many beautiful people and be able to experience that is just like, so it has been such an experience. I never thought that I'd even get out of Vegas. So that has been probably the highlight.
Yeah.
And being on the cover of Playboy was pretty cool too.
And when Boseko Locombo was a guest of the podcast back in 2018, he was a linebacker for the BC Lions. The first day of 2019's free agency, he signed a 1-year contract with the Montreal Alouettes. Had a great year with them, 51 defensive tackles, 8 special team tackles, and 2 interceptions. He played linebacker and safety for the Owls, and Locombo's playing rights were traded to the Toronto Argonauts at the start of 2020. You'll love what Boseko considers his career highlight.
I think probably going, you know, having the chance to experience the NFL a bit.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if you knew this, but the Ravens have always been my favorite team because of one simple guy, Ray Lewis.
Okay.
And when I signed with the Ravens, we during our regular season back in 2017, we had a game in London, and it was versus the Jaguars, and they did a little kind of community service work thing in London, and Ray Lewis ended up showing up to that community service, and
nice.
Like I was starstruck, because I've been following football ever since I got into football. He was my favorite player. He's been my favorite player. Now he's retired. Kind of doing his own thing. I even bought his book, all that, and to actually be in the same field as him, and to see him, and to talk to him, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was probably the highlight of my career, because it was somebody I looked up to for a long time, and I shared something with him, and it just it was special.
Music, sports, entertainment, lifestyle. You're listening to the Toddcast Podcast.
Now, stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast Podcast.
As a fan of MMA, you're well aware of the veteran voice of the Octagon, Bruce Buffer, the official announcer for the UFC events. It's time! He announces the main events. Oddly, what are the chances his half-brother is boxing and pro wrestling ring announcer Michael Buffer? Incredible. Bruce holds a black belt in Tang Soo Do and has fought as a kickboxer himself. And when he called up to be a guest, we talked about binge-watching shows, Daredevil and Shark Tank, great shows. He shared what it's like to have such a unique vantage point of the UFC. He talked about the first McGregor-Diaz fight. We got into comic books and collecting sports memorabilia. He even shared a near-death experience story. And stop me if you've heard this before, Bruce talked about the early days of the UFC and how it's been an evolutionary process for the organization.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with a spectacle. You know, it went from a spectacle to sport is exactly what happened.
Right.
And, you know, the rules had to be modified. They had to be refined. The words mixed martial arts weren't even invented until about, I think, 6 or 7 years into the UFC's existence by an ex-commentator, Jeff Blatnick, who passed away a few years ago and was the man who overcame cancer to win the gold medal in the Olympics. It's different. You know, it was amazing back then, but it would not have got as big as it was today if it had not been refined, because it was just too much of a spectacle.
Stop me if you've heard this before. On the Toddcast podcast is powered by FKP MMA, Vancouver's #1 training destination at fkpmma.com.
Just about the time he said that it was over and he walked away. This time will be the last time that you're ever gonna hear him say, I'm sorry, I could do better, cause it sounds all the same. And you'll do better with me. You're not the flavor of the week, but you'll never know. And you got me feeling so weak, like I was running out of steam. I'm so much better for you, and I think this time you keep this one for yourself. Don't let them put your heart way up on a shelf. Just be more careful, baby, fend for yourself. Maybe the next time it will be me instead. Cause when it's good, then you know it don't stop. Hot pounds when you feel that beat drop. So come on over, get to love, cause you'll never know. You'll do better with me. You're not the flavor of the week, but you'll never know. And you got me feeling so weak, like I was running out of steam. I'm so much better for you. If you only knew, if you could only see what I see, if you only knew how I look at you,
I mean, how good is that one going to be live? The band is Best Night Ever. Fantastic song for those guys called Better. I'd be willing to bet that you'll see that one live this Friday. They're playing a podcast, Blue Light Sessions, at Blue Light Studio in East Vancouver. Think acoustic, a Q&A throughout the entire performance. You get to ask questions of the band as well. This is our third show back since the pandemic, and it feels so good, feels so right. Hopefully you can make it out. It's just $20 in advance through eventbrite.ca. That's Eventbrite, BRITE.ca. Search out Toddcast. It's, I think, the only event up there right now. It's $25 if you wait for the door. Now, keep in mind, though, there's only 60 tickets sold for this show. So if you want to get a guaranteed spot, buy a ticket today. We're talking about career highlights on this week's podcast, and now some stories from past entertainment guests. Canadian Brent Butt is one of Canada's best comics. He's been working on the craft since 1988. You'll best know Brent from his role as Brent on Corner Gas. He's won 4 Canadian Comedy Awards, was honored with the Comedy Network's Sir Peter Ustinov Award for his significant body of comedic work. So what's Brent Butt's career highlight?
You know, after we did the series, we did 6 seasons, 107 episodes, the notion, we all kind of liked the idea of coming back in a few years and doing a movie, doing an actual theatrical movie of Corner Gas. And so that was always on our radar, and that happened 5 years after the final live action show aired. We made this movie. It took us about 2.5 years to write it because it was a very tricky thing to write. But at the end of the day, I'm really happy with the movie, and the response to the movie was way more than anybody expected. Like, we were physically selling out theaters. Mm-hmm. None of us expected that. I remember getting a call from my brother in Calgary saying, "I'm trying to go to your stupid movie and I can't get a ticket." It was like, am I supposed to be upset by that? Or
right.
So anyway, the network approached us after the success of the film, and they said, you know, obviously the appetite is still there. People still want to see Corner Gas. Do you have any interest in doing more episodes? And we just kind of didn't. We thought, you know, just coming back and doing more of the same would feel, you know, it would very much feel like kind of a rut. But, you know, it's a nice offer, and the notion of being employed is always, you know, that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. So I was like, yeah, you know, if we my partners and we started talking about this, if we were to do something, what would we do? And that's when the idea of animation came up, because we had talked about it once before of doing an animated scene during the live action show. We did an animated Lego version of Corner Gas, like a scene in one of the episodes.
Right.
And we had talked about doing a regular animated thing. It never came together. It wasn't practical, but so anyway, when we started kicking around this idea of what could we do, that came up. It was like we started revisiting the notion of an animated Corner Gas.
If you're even remotely a comic book fan, the shows, the movies, one series worth watching is Supergirl, filmed here in Vancouver, and actor David Harewood plays the role of Martian Manhunter. You'll remember him also in Homeland as the CIA's counterterrorism director. That is a great show. He's a brilliant actor, trained at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, has a ton of TV and film experience going back to like 1993, a true master of the art with a beautiful career highlight.
Wow, career highlight. I mean, it has to be Homeland. I mean, literally, the year I got Homeland, the year before I got Homeland, my best mate in the world, who used to kind of make me laugh and tell me all these, you know, we just used to laugh all the time, and he was the one person who was convinced that I was going to make it, and would always just tell me, look, don't worry about it, you're going to make it. I've got no fear about it whatsoever. Absolutely convinced about it. And on my daughter's birthday, we were about to walk out, go and get some food for my daughter's birthday. I got this phone call, and he died. He had a routine knee operation, and he was dead, and just completely destroyed me.
Wow!
I was kind of like, I just lost my kind of rock, and I kind of was heavily grieving for about a year. I didn't work for 9 months. I just lost all my mojo, lost my confidence. I just couldn't do it. I was just convinced I was going to go under. I couldn't pay my mortgage. I was fucked. I had no money, and I was very nearly broke. And my manager phoned me up and said, look, I've got this job. They want your tape. Would you put yourself on tape? And I refused it. I said, no, I'm not in the mood. And then about a month later, he said, look, Dave, they're still asking, would you really put yourself on tape? I said, I haven't got it. He said, just put yourself, just do it. Just put yourself on tape for it. Just one time, just raise yourself and just do it. And I did it. And then about a month later, I got a phone call from my agent saying, congratulations. I said, what's that? He said, you just got Homeland.
Awesome.
And I put the phone down. I said to my wife, I fucking got it. She said, what? I said, I got that job, Homeland. And my wife started to tear up. And I said, what's up? She said, do you know what day it is today? I went, no. She went, it's Louis' birthday. It's my mate's fucking birthday.
Come on.
I swear to God, on his birthday the next year, and I have not stopped working since.
Wow. Dude, I literally have my arm hair is standing on end right now.
The dude, from being broke one year and grieving and lost, the very next year, we won everything. So it won the Golden Globes, it won everything. So I was 1 year broke, just absolutely, I'm down to my last dollar. And then the next year I'm at parties with fucking movie stars and TV stars and walking past Charlize Theron and Leonardo DiCaprio and De Niro, and I'm like in this room with all these fucking megastars, and I'm just sitting there thinking, Jesus Christ, it can happen that quickly.
What a story.
I just kind of thought to myself, this is from being really low to being really high. So that was my that year winning everything with Homeland and the Emmys and the Golden Globes, and every time I went down that red carpet, I was just thinking, Jesus Christ, if only they knew. So
wow.
those are my highlights.
If you lived in Canada in the late 80s, early 90s, the name Ed the Sock should be ringing bells. I was a big fan of what he did on Much Music. A talking cigar, pushing the boundaries, calling out celebrities. How could you not like that? Green hair, green eyebrows, a scowl, a take-no-shit approach to the arts.
I left Much Music. I started on Much Music in City TV in 1994, left in 2008. That's a lot of time and a lot of highlights and a lot of lowlights. So trying to think of what did I enjoy the most, it's pretty difficult to figure out what I liked the most. It's easier to figure out the people I liked the least, but mostly I didn't pay that much attention. It was just a job. I went in, I did my shtick, I went the hell home.
Yeah, fair enough.
But highlights, I really liked being at Woodstock 99.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Because I was live on the air. I was the person, and this was noted in the media, I was the person who first said, this is about to go straight to hell. And it did. And I was the one who predicted it, which, that's sort of odd notoriety. But I watched that for 3 days in blistering heat in a venue that was an old military base, so it had no shade, no place people could skulk in the shadows, and people were charging $10 for small bottles of water. I knew this was about to boil over.
Yeah.
And that afternoon, when they started knocking over the outhouses and body surfing in the crap, I knew this was Lord of the Flies. And so being a part of something that's actually unfolding in front of you historically, that was great fun. But generally, just being on Much Music, being on a place where they let me say whatever I wanted. Nobody spoke to me beforehand saying, what are you going to talk about? What are you going to say about this? Nobody ever asked me. No one told me not to talk about something. No one gave me hell after. Well, maybe they gave me hell after, but it didn't really matter because going forward, there was no rules. They respected me enough to let me do what I wanted to do, say what I wanted to say, and they allowed the other VJs of my generation to be who they were. They hired people who they knew, who they trusted, whose personalities they liked, and said, go do your thing. And this is the thing that's gone missing in those last 10 years. Mm-hmm. As more and more people, media figures and politicians, became very tightly controlled about what they were saying or allowed to say. This is why people around the world are starting to cotton to the appeal of an idiot like Trump. because Trump says what he means and means what he says. So I think people are attracted to that as opposed to the crap that comes out of his mouth. My job is to come back and do what I always did, which was say what I mean and mean what I say, but do it with some freaking brains.
And you'll know Sangeeta Patel as an ET Canada host and HGTV's Home to Win host. She started off her career as a presenter on the Weather Network back in 2014. She made Hello Magazine Canada's 50 Most Beautiful People list, a big career. So what's been the highlight?
I'm one of those people who lives for the moment. It doesn't matter what it is. I get excited by everything and anything. But oh shoot, I don't know. Do you like in terms of meeting someone or just overall?
In general, what popped to your mind when I said that?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just so blessed. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
One of the coolest things is that I'm able to connect with. One of the things I love to do is interviews, and having the opportunity to connect with these guys it's pretty cool. And a lot of stars would say reporters or say they really connect with people, but you find those moments, and so I like creating those moments. So for me, maybe, oh boy, it's tough. The Rock and I are, we message each other. We're friends. He knows my name, and
that's awesome.
It's kind of cool. It is. I think of him as like an older brother kind of thing, but he's been my mentor when it comes to fitness, because fitness is such a big part of my life, and for him to acknowledge the amount of work I do, so it's something like that. Maybe like that's really cool to me. So I don't know. Yeah, there's so many great moments.
Mm-hmm. Tough to pick for sure.
Yeah, it's hard. Being at the Golden Globes this year during the Me Too change, I don't know. There's so many. That's a tough one. You're going to have to come back to me on that one.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like I look back at my career and I'm like, man, I don't know. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not quite like you, but I had a good run here in Vancouver for 15 years. So
yeah, it's a tough one.
It is. Yeah.
Everything's been great. I've been blessed. I'm lucky for where I am right now. Even Home to Win, to do that, that's a highlight. Being able to give away a house to a family that deserves it at the end of her.
That's
so
insane.
Cool.
That's
the coolest.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And I'm the only one who knows, there's 50 of us out there, and I'm the only one who knows who won the house. And so my director's in my ear, and he goes, okay, this is the one time you get to deliver this line. Don't F it up.
Right.
And
we are not double taking this.
No, don't cry.
Right.
If your temperature, your lips is trembling, try to get rid of that. Take your moment. And that's just okay, maybe that's the highlight, is to give away a house, $1 million house. That's just insane.
Toddcast Podcast entertainment guest visits are powered by Hancock Auctions, Canada's largest memorabilia and collectibles auction house. Find them online at CanuckAuctions.com.
just a solid ass kicking. That band is Wayne Grow. Love that song. Bathed in Tongues. They've got to be among the top for the genre for Vancouver bands. As we put this Career Highlights podcast to bed, thank you so much for being there. We know there are some choices for you, and we don't take it for granted that you've picked our podcast. Hope you like what you heard as well. 12 guests sharing career highlights. Now, normally we do 3 guests per week podcasts, release them on Tuesdays. And my name is Todd Hancock. If you're not already, you can subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud. You can see all video interviews at our YouTube channel, all at Toddcast Podcast. Comment and rate the podcast. It helps out with those search engine results, which is big in our world. Huge thanks to all of our fantastic sponsors. We straight up couldn't do it without their support. There are a lot of moving parts to this podcast. The behind the scenes stuff you don't see, paying people to help with social media, video creation. Now that we're back doing those live shows at the Blue Light Studio in East Vancouver, we'll likely have someone at our events handing out stickers and shaking babies, kissing hands kind of thing, right? You can find links to all sponsor websites at toddhancock.ca, right on the homepage towards the bottom there. If you want to sponsor the podcast, you can for as little as $10 a day. Contact info is at the homepage. Help us find a sponsor and get a commission based on the initial ad buy. Right, let's put this one to bed. Till next week, don't be an asshole. Nobody wants to be around that. Have fun, play hard, and most of all, believe in yourself.
You've been listening to the Toddcast Podcast, powered by The Pint, Vancouver's favorite sports bar at 455 Abbott Street, and online at vancouver.thepint.ca.
Talmor, Sheshin Marachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey there, it's Rachel Ballinger, and I am extremely excited to invite you to Rachel Uncensored. It's my podcast where I sit down and get real with my friends and celebrity guests, where we talk about all sorts of topics. And sometimes we might be under the influence when we do so. We cover things from personal stories to hot button issues. And it's the only place on the internet you can find an uncensored version of me. It's a side of me that you might not have seen before because it's not the most family or brand friendly. But don't worry, I'm still sort of slightly a decent human being. If you're intrigued, then make sure you check it out. New episodes drop every Wednesday. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on the fun and candid conversations we have here on Rachel Uncensored.